Alrighty, awkward YouTube video times. So I really didn't know how I was going to start this, but I know I need to start doing some sort of presence online as far as YouTube video goes as a writer. If you found this webpage on accident, hi, my name's Mike, author of books like Online as It Is in Heaven, but I'm also R.G. Michaels, author of books like the Moving Lives trilogy, which starts with this book, Rural. I've been trying to figure out a way how to engage with YouTube and make content and be able to do my books in more than just a way where I have a simple blog and I have books that I sell. And so I'm going to start publishing on both these channels, on my pen names channel, RG Michaels, and on my real names channel, where previously I've only done a couple interviews for a failed book project. So that's who I am. My name is Mike Van Gogh. And then my pen name is R.G. Michaels. What I want to write about for fiction. For fiction, I want to write young adult literature, specifically young adult literature for young men. It's something that I find that's drastically missing in today's culture and today's market. When you search young adults literature, you get 80,000, 100,000 different books that you'll find on Amazon, listed under young adult. And then when you start niching down into things, and you type in young adult books for young men, or for just men, or for boys, or for teen boys, any of those things, and you get a couple thousand books over the whole of Amazon's book market. Millions of books, hundreds of thousands of young adult books, very tiny bit written specifically for young adult men. And so that's something that I'm really passionate about, what I want to write about. I try to feature different themes that are focused that way in my fiction writing, and it's where I want to take all my novels. As far as nonfiction goes, where I'm writing under my real name, I want to write theology books. I want to write about the human experience, and specifically the human experience with God, and how we think about God, and how that interacts with culture, and how that interacts with practicality as well. I think a lot of theology separates itself into kind of heady realms where it's just all theory and it doesn't apply to things, and it can be easily taken apart simply by test running it and saying the loud part or quiet parts loud, and getting yourself into trouble that way. And I really think that there's a need for that stuff. That's one of the reasons why I wrote Online as It Is in Heaven, a book that got severely challenged over the last couple of years with the pandemic and the lockdowns and the restrictions and everything that's gone wrong with it. It really challenged what I thought the possibilities of online ministry were. So I wanted to I want to write about that, and I want to write good fiction, and so I want to use my YouTube channel to do that, and there's a few things that I want to do with that. So for the first thing, especially with writing, I want to read my entire nonfiction library. Most of it's theological books. You can kind of see it here. We'll do a little kind of tour. Yeah, there's all sorts of books right behind me. I've read a bunch. I have not read them all by any fair stretch. Probably about 1/10 of them. I have a process that I go through that involves a commonplace book. You've probably seen note cards like this if you follow like Ryan Holiday or Robert Greene, that kind of stuff. And that's something I also want to do as a writer. So I want to read my entire nonfiction library, some 400 books, probably going to end up being close to 500, 600 by the time I get done and current read. And that's a lot, because like I read, jeepers, probably 50 books a year, maybe a little bit more. So I'm going to aim to kind of push that into the 60 realm. But that should hopefully give me kind of the building blocks for what I want to write as a nonfiction author. As a fiction author, that's something that I didn't even know that you could do, frankly. When I was coming out of high school and into college and into my first years as in my beginning careers and whatnot, the idea of being a writer was completely foreign until I think it was with a John Green video. He mentioned that an author's apprenticeship is reading, and that the books we read are that apprenticeship, and that the more books you read, even in a fiction realm, that's showing you how you enjoy writing, and that you can mimic that, and that you can make certain parts your own, and then develop your own style, and that becomes kind of a pathway to becoming a novelist. And the more and more I looked into it, the more I found that it was something I definitely wanted to do. And I ended up with this dichotomy of I want to write nonfiction here and fiction here, and I didn't really know how to separate those two until I came up with my pen name, and I wrote a couple books under it. What that did was allow me to kind of split the two kind of disciplines of writing, at least the ones that I engage with the most, into two different focuses, so that when I was in the mood to write nonfiction, I could, focus and dive in that way. And when I was in the mood to write fiction, I could focus and dive in that way. Now that I have goals for what I want to write about, as far as like broad themes in theology and broad kind of themes in young adult literature, that's what I want to kind of pursue, and I want to kind of document my process and how I'm doing that. One of the first things for the fiction side is I actually want to read 100 books on writing and review them on YouTube. So what you can see kind of behind me here, we'll just kind of pivot a bit, is my fledgling writing craft library. So far 40 books, I've read about half of them, that have to do with writing. Everything from, Strunk & White's Elements of Style to Stephen King's On Writing, the Chicago Manual of Style, Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott, Save the Cat Writes a Novel, all that kind of stuff. Great books that have been recommended by different authors and different professionals in the field about the craft of writing fiction and some nonfiction. I want to read 100 books, condense what they teach about writing into kind of their bare bones facts, and then do a series on YouTube about that as I learn how to write more novels myself. I have several series kind of planned out, and I really want to kind of hone my craft through that process by reading those books, along with my other books, along with just novels in general. I really like reading novels as well, and mostly science fiction and fantasy, with some young adult thrown in there. So that's kind of where I landed as a writer, and then where I want to take both these disciplines at one point is to document how I'm writing books and eventually turn it into a writing course, a course that I'd be able to get people who have never thought about writing a book before, both either for fiction or nonfiction, and get them to a point where they at least think that they can attempt to write something, because I'm a firm believer that almost anyone could write a book. Everyone's got either a story or a principle or a lesson that they could teach everyone, and it's just a matter of getting it out, and that language is that powerful tool that can get that out into the world and make the world a better place. What I'm not doing, as you can already tell, I'm not going to be doing perfectly edited jump cut videos like I'm the Vlog Brothers or anything. I'm kind of a rambler, and it's my thing. I like talking. I like just kind of going off the cuff of my seat of my pants here, and I don't know what that's going to look like, come 100 videos down the road. This is my first kind of awkward video. I'm getting at 8 minutes now, and you've been here the entire time listening to me talk. So a lot of this I know is going to be me getting more comfortable with the camera and more focused on what I want to do with this platform, and what I want to do as far as getting people engaged with my work and introduced to my work, and really kind of engaging with whatever audience I could drum up. So that's the plan. My name's Mike, aka RG Michaels, and I look forward to entertaining you here on YouTube. Have a good one.